A stab of lightning strikes the top of the Y in the Hollywood sign. Thunder shakes the mountain. Digging into the dirt with my knuckles, I launch toward the circle. My hands splay before me, and suddenly I notice how huge and different they are. Thick with hair and calluses, stretchy, puffy, as if they've been flattened with a hammer and then inflated with a lead. In midair, I can feel that my body is different too, stocky, fast, and powerful. By the time I land on the first robe, all my confused thoughts folds in on themselves. They gather at the center of my hemorrhaging brain, swirl into a senseless soup, and then explode outward like fleshy hunks of mental shrapnel. My skull throbs in accord while my bigger, thicker, whiter teeth dig through cloth and skin and blood and bone, tearing into a hunk of delicate neck flesh and pulverizing a fist-sized section of the thrashing occultist's spine to powder. The robe beneath me goes slap, falling fast, and I hang on, riding the corpse. My oversized hands clamp down upon the dead man's knobby shoulders, inadvertently squeezing too hard, crushing bone, flesh, blood, veins, tendons, the man's undershirt, and robe into a spongy mess of splintery, gnarled mush. We hit the ground, and I instantly leap blindly, capturing another robe full in my crushing hands. I squeeze this one's arm and pull. I can see the idiot's slobbery chin yammering in the shadow of his hood. His forearm crumbles like a bag of broken glass, and then I yank and yank and yank, pulling the entire appendage from its socket. I give another yank and pull until the skin tears, and the arc comes free, trailing a bouquet of meaty streamers. Warm blood arcs and baptizes me in a salty bliss. My nose, my mouth, my blood come alive, and my brain shudders with unexpected rapture. I beat another robe with the mangled arm, and another until I felled 3 more. A host of robes run off, their shadowy forms becoming one with the darkness beyond the clearing. My adrenalized mind ignores the escapees and returns to the 3 captives squirming before me. My hands tingle, hungry, aching to crush and bash. My teeth buzz in anticipation. I leap and come down upon the first man's head with heavy feet. His head flattens, the top of his skull exploding outward, his black hood going wet and dark and clumpy with pulp biology. The second man rolls and scrabbles, but he is too fat to make much ground. The teeny portion of my brain not given over to fury recognizes him as the robe with the gravelly voice. That same teeny portion of my brain thinks that it might be smart to ask him some questions like, who the fuck are they and what have they done to us, why us? And on, but the killing rage doesn't give a leaping monster fuck about questions or answers, so I embrace the chaos and go with it. I jump 10 feet into the air and come down on his back with my knees. A goulash of bones and organs sloshes beneath me. My fiend hands grab the fat man's head and pull back until his gravelly screaming gurgles into silence. His voice gone, his body cooling, I keep going and going until his entire head comes loose. I drop the putrid thing and it rolls from the dark of the soppy robe into a thick clump of blood-drenched crabgrass. The third and final robe, not dead yet, and too petrified to run, has balled himself up in the fetal position. The pathetic fool sobs and cowers as I abandon the mess I'd made of Mr. Gravelly and hop over. I lean over him, ready to rip his face off, and just like that, everything in my frenzied mind washes away. Rage is replaced with heat. My pelvic muscles contract and my sex hardens. My mind swims dizzy and light. I hunched lower and noticed my junk, like my my hands is 3 times larger. It pushes past the tiny strip of jokey red sequin thong that I'd forgotten I was wearing and strains until its Coke can wide shaft stands as tall as my chest. The displacement of blood makes me woozy. My nudity brings on a swell of embarrassment, but more heat washes through me, obliterating shame, filling me with nothing but animal desire. I tear at the man's robe, shredding it in 2 good pulls, only to discover the man isn't a man, but a woman. She has shoulder-length blonde hair, is in her late 20s, is terrified out of her wits, and exudes a heady musk that permeates my senses and clouds my insides like a column of suffocating smoke. My monster penis strains and pulls, and my monster hands oblige, ripping the woman's underclothes from her body. She screams, so my left hand clubs her until her face runs with blood. She hushes and whimpers beneath me. I lick the blood from her face, the smell, the heat, the desire. In a burst of violent eroticism, I flip her over and penetrate, and I lose myself for a while and don't return until my desire drains. I had another paragraph there that was pretty explicit that so sorry. I'm glad, thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing that. Okay, so he's finished raping this girl, right? I spot Maggie out of the corner of my eye. She's still tied to the ground, her eyes closed, either unconscious or pretending for fear her savage boyfriend will hurt her. But I would never hurt her, never. And I pull myself from the still woman and crawl for my love. I yank the stakes out of the ground and try to untie her wrists and ankles, but my fat fingers can't seem to work the ropes. She stirs for a moment, her eyelids fluttering. We lock gazes. She offers me a weak smile as the rage or adrenaline or sex-mad desire amping through my bloodstream catches up with me, spins my mind in a blurring of anti-color, and takes me down. Part 2. When I wake, I'm in bed. My red thong is gone, replaced by a pair of loose-fitting pajama bottoms I've never worn because they're way too big. But now they strain to fit my weird-shaped pelvis and fit too snug against me. Maggie dabs my head with a washcloth and jokes about how she dragged me to the car and into our house and got me dressed, but there's no mirth in her eyes. She She's nervous, she's scared, and I understand. Whatever happened to me wasn't one of those forgiving things where you wake up and remember nothing. I remember everything. I explain what I can to Maggie, talking sane, the same old me. She relaxes, and when I crawl out of bed and stretch my aching bones, she gives me a tight, loving hug. It's nice for about 12 seconds, but then my mutant groin steers and my head goes swimmy, and I picture my monster penis savaging Maggie and everything wet and wiggly within me, nerve endings, organs, goes crazy tingly. I push Maggie away and stumble to the bathroom. I don't look in the mirror right away. Instead, I grip the edge of the sink and let the cool porcelain play through my palms. It feels so good that I bend my head to the lip. After a full minute, I take a breath and look at my hands. They're about 4 times larger than my normal hands, purple veined with heavy with thick, callous skin. My fingertips are the size of several dollars. I can palm my entire head in one hand, and when I do, I can feel how much my face has changed. I take another breath and then get the nerve to look up. What I see in the mirror has me screaming at the top of my lungs and falling backwards into the bathtub. I cry forever, which is just as well because Maggie hangs around the door and tells me everything is okay, we'll figure shit out together. I tell her I appreciate her compassion, her love, but I'm never coming out. Never. That thing in the mirror isn't me. Well, it was me, but it isn't me. The word that comes to mind is ape-like. My forehead was a black hole caved by lightning, cracked and scabby, and giving away to glistening. I don't even want to think about it. My brows jutted over my eye sockets like fat pink mountains. My eyes were deep-set, inhuman dark pupils dwarfed by 2 large sockets, floating in an expanse of flesh. No whites, no expressive window of the soul quality. My mouth leered, disgusting, huge, 2 wide, fat purple lips with abnormally large teeth. I keep thinking was and were past tense, like if I look in the mirror again, everything will become are and is, as in my brows are normal, my mouth is small again. And why not? Why the fuck not? I mean, I was struck by lightning and turned into some sort of monkey motherfucker man. Why not a full reversal? If the former is possible, so is the latter. Why not a tooth fairy and Santa Claus, and hell, a little magic elf to jump out of my toilet and turn me back into me? I sit on the edge of the bathtub for an hour, all the while Maggie begging me to come out. She consoles and comforts and soothes. She proposes plans and tells me she loves me, and at long last I finally relent. Not because she's so sweet, but because she has something I need to see. She mentions that she's recovered an old book from the clearing that she took for evidence. It's the book the gravelly voice man read from. She says it might help us figure out what happened with the lightning, and she doesn't mention my change. I drape a towel over my head and then exit the bathroom. I sit on the edge of the bed and try to get comfortable. Maggie waits until I settle and then sits beside me, close like normal, like we always sit, but things are far from normal, and my abnormal sex is trying to take over. Electrical currents leap from my brain to my groin, and my groin to my brain, but my heart tries its damnedest to intercede. It disrupts the cycling heat, and I'm able to hold things together for now. We leaf through the book for a few moments. The thing is as old as dirt and bound in something we hope is leather and filled with old script that looks like nothing I've ever seen. My first thought is Arabic, but then I don't know Arabic from Sanskrit from mumbo jumbo. There are a few illustrations, exquisite anatomical drawings of apes, apes in cross-section, apes in bisection, apes whole, apes turned inside out, apes with diagrams pinpointing particular nerves for muscle groups or brain patterns. Maggie and I pore over the book. We can't read, and each time we